Hello, this is Dr. Jason Munsell. It's a very sunny and hot day here in Dallas, Texas. I didn't do a really good job with the JFK stuff, in part because I couldn't take the video stuff in there. But remember, now we're talking about issues of leadership, presidential leadership from a rhetorical point of view. And if you've read the first chapter, and the second chapter, and the sixth chapter, all the chapters you're supposed to be reading, and reading all my notes that I have so carefully designed for you, you know that presidential leadership, at least from our book, is all about using rhetoric to persuade folks to see the world in a particular way. But also, there's a particular type of leadership that the authors of our book and the editor sort of celebrates, and that is this idea of prudence. So one thing you might want to do is go back to look at the JFK speech that he never gave, but it's in part about issues of leadership. It talks about leadership, has the word leadership in there, but also think in terms, is he showcasing prudential leadership? And that's the complicated bit. There's a lot of stuff in the syllabus, and you've read stuff, I got the notes, but prudence. So what is this prudence? I put some stuff on KC. Dana Carvey used to mimic George Herbert Walker Bush with the it wouldn't be prudent. But in any case, basically it grows from Aristotle, and in the Latin it's called phronesis, is practical wisdom, but basically to really try to simplify it. Oh, by the way, I'm at the President George W. Bush Library. We're going to take a little bit of a tour. But basically what we're doing here is thinking about the middle ground, trying to figure out what is the practical thing to do. You might think in terms of, well, when Aristotle talked about virtue generally, he talked about virtue being sort of in the between of things, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Sort of the golden mean, the avoidance of excesses. So, for instance, this is almost like an idea of moderation. I mean, you can hang out at home and, you know, just drink Coke, or you could have a glass of wine or two. That's moderation. Or you could go out and just get tanked and throw up, and that's just stupid. That's not moderation. So there's two extremes. Find the middle ground. And so prudence is this idea, we got all these different things that we have to think about. We can't always go whole hog into stuff, and we can't, you know, not do something, but what's the practical thing to do? What's the, you know, what's the in-between? What is the middle ground, in a sense? And that's sort of what prudence is, in a very simplified way. And so, so one thing you might want to think about is going back and reading that JFK speech, and you know, how does he talk about American leadership in the world and issues of foreign policy and building up the military? Is that showcase prudence? I don't know. But this second paper that you're writing, and I'm still in the process of grading the first papers, you're going to pick a presidential speech and make an argument whether you think that the president is showing prudential leadership in light of the speech. Is the president balancing the ideal good and the practically, you know, possible? So that's sort of what it is. I hope that sort of makes sense. I was actually explaining this to my family a little bit in a much better way, but I don't know why. But hopefully you sort of get this. But so we're gonna hope you've read the Wilson stuff and my notes. But I'm using my iPhone right now because my iPad is just still crazy, insane, broken. But I'll show you a few things. I've never been here before, so I don't know what to expect. I'm hoping that there's something about issues of leadership here that I can sort of show you. But let's take a tour of the George W. Bush Museum. It'll be fun. It's a field trip. It's a virtual field trip.